Many times we're speaking about building IPs and brands and characters that people care about. We often get very corporate and we look past the fact that there's a lot of emotion and fun associated with it. So today I'm going to share a story about how I almost died for NFTs. And of course, this is all because I was emotionally invested into a particular creator, their brand, and what they were building. Hello, I'm Taj, digitally known as Tropic Vibes, the host of Nifty Business, where we highlight NFTs and explore Web 3.0 as we move from pure speculation to creating real-world value. So this particular episode is going to be a Hive exclusive video. If you're not familiar with Hive, it is a decentralized social network. Information is stored on the Hive blockchain, and there is a video platform by the name of ThreeSpeak. So some exclusive versions of podcasts and just random videos that I do put up will be over there in case you're not familiar with that. Look in the show notes, you'll see the link to this video, but let's get to the story. About 2.5-3 years ago, I almost died for NFTs. I shared this in a space recently, and someone said, that is an amazing story. You need to go dive deeper into that. So let's rewind to 3 years ago. This is around the time when everyone was getting locked down because of the pandemic, and I was just in a family business, not really in a good place mentally, spiritually, and I constantly had at least one earphone in my ears at all times, listening to podcasts, audiobooks, inspirational speeches, you name it, whatever to keep my mind and spirits uplifted and going. One of these podcasts that I listened to is where I discovered NFTs. And if you listen to my podcast, you know that it was through this podcast I was able to identify the value in NFTs. I then jumped back onto Clubhouse where pretty much all these audio spaces were taking place, hopped into NFT rooms, started to find out about all these different things, seeking out podcasts about NFTs and just researching. And obviously I landed in Web3, collect NFTs, crypto, the whole world opened up for me. Then I launched my own podcast. However, at this time, I was a newbie. The first place I landed was actually on the Wax blockchain, just collecting things. I wasn't thinking of flipping JPEGs, as they call it, or anything of that nature. I was just having the time of my life. It was fun. I enjoyed the technology, and it brought me back to being a kid of collecting Pokemon cards, and that's why I started collecting. Now, one of these projects that really caught my attention was by Crypto Stash. And if you know Crypto Stash, he is a streamer. He is constantly speaking about gaming and how the blockchain technology is going to be integrated in that. One of the OGs in the space, really respect the guy, but I was just fascinated by this drop that he was having. It was these collectible cards on the Wax blockchain that allowed you to not only collect them, you were able to craft them. So you'd get all these little pieces, you'd put them together, you'd burn them so that way you'd get a final result. And it was just gamified to me. It was just a fun way of collecting. But in addition to that, you can actually play these cards or submit these cards, if you will, while he was doing his live stream as Secret Agent Stash playing his games. You could get him to do different things, changing his outfit, playing the theme song, changing the game and losing on purpose, playing blindfolded, all of these different things. And I just thought that was just such a cool, novel idea. Well, anywho, I wanted to collect these things, and as I said, I was in a family business, and I was there 13, 14-hour days, and many times I just could not move. I would miss lunch and so forth. However, when I discovered NFTs and I was so excited, of course, the mint craze was on, and I wanted to get some of these collectibles, right? I really liked them. I thought it was a cool idea, and again, one of the OGs in the space, I wanted to support the mint and so forth. So, of course, I minted the NFTs, and I collect the packs, and I was so excited because the way this was set up, it was a timed reveal. So a few days after the initial mint is when you started to open up your packs, and then you were able to craft them and make all the stuff that I just spoke about. Now, of course, everyone wanted a first mint. And the way this actually works over on the Wax blockchain, if you've never collected there, is when these things are being minted onto the blockchain, they have number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So each person that mints subsequently, the number keeps going up. Well, the packs, of course, were numbered, but it doesn't really matter if you don't have a number 1 pack, because you're going to open those are going to be burned anyways. Then you're going to open up the cards that are going to appear on the blockchain, certain numbers. So you want to open them up quick, trying to get the number 1 of whatever card it is, but then also you want to craft to get the number 1 card. So On opening day, I am at work. I'm locked in, as I said, family business. I was the only one there that day. Quite a few people had called in and it was a total mess. So it came to the time now, the clock is counting down, the day that we get to open our packs and start crafting and minting. And of course, I want a number one mint, right? I am someone who loves to collect, and it was like a badge of honor to be able to get a number one mint. But as I said, I am at the store and I'm locked down right now. I'm trying to get to the computer so that way I can craft. But unfortunately, the secretary and other people were using the computers upstairs. And I was like, oh man, all the computers are busy right now. There's no way I can craft. But luckily, I live about 5 minutes walking distance away from where I work. So I said, I'll just run up there really quick. I'll open up these NFTs and I will craft and it'll be all good. I'll be back within 10 minutes. No one will miss me. So of course, I tell everyone, I said, look, hold down the fort for about 10, 15 minutes. I'll be right back. I'm just going up the road. Well, I get to my vehicle and guess what happens? I am blocked in. The way my father parked in the parking lot completely cut off the parking lot. There was no way for me to actually come out because it's a narrow strip behind the building is where the parking lot is. And my vehicle is behind his. So now either A, I'm going to have to track him down and say, hey, I need you to move your vehicle because I have to go up the road. Then I'm going to have to answer all these questions. Why do I have to leave the premise? Why is it that I'm leaving the post when other people are not there currently? But then I'm going to have to tell the truth and explain why I need to go mint some NFTs, what an NFT is, all of these crazy things. I was like, you know what? There's about 10, 15 minutes before this thing starts, and I need to be there right now. And I do not have the time to sit there and explain this to my father, explain technology and the haste and why time is of the essence. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to run there. It's just a few minutes away. I can do this. I used to play football, whatever. You know, I'm on my feet all day, constantly active at work and so forth. Being able to run a quarter mile, a half mile, whatever it is, just to go mint some NFTs, no problem. Well, let me tell you, it was a problem. First and foremost, I didn't factor a few things into the equation. Number one, this is the middle of the day and I have to cross a fairly broad intersection to then get to my house, right? So I have to run through the street, the middle of the town, and this obnoxiously broad intersection I have to run across. Lots of taxis stop there and everything. There's lots of foot traffic. There's people selling food and vendors and everything. Well, anywho, I have to run across this thing and that was my first time almost dying, right? So a taxi is coming around the corner as I'm trying to round the corner. I'm trying to speed over there. And guess what? It stops inches away from my feet. I survived that one. No problem. I'm focused. I am locked in. I'm getting these NFTs. I'm going to mint. I almost died, but it's all good. Almost doesn't count. I live to go fight again. So I start running again. I mean, I didn't even stop to say, oh, it's all good. I just keep going and I'm running back. But here's where the second time I almost died comes in. As I said, this is about a half mile away. And I said I'm an active person and so forth. I used to be a football player. Key word there is used to be. I'm completely out of shape. I might look like I'm fit and everything, but I do not run. I do not do any kind of cardio or anything. So this half a mile run, not to mention, I just lost some wind because I just thought I almost died by getting hit by a taxi. Now I have to run up the street and get to the house. So I am completely out of breath, but guess what? It gets even sweeter than this. Where my apartment is on top of a building. So I have to go up 3 flights of steps to actually get to my house, right? It is absolutely a nightmare. I just ran through the town, almost died. I'm out of breath. And now I have to run up 3 flights of steps to get to where my laptop is. No worries. I make it there. I'm out of breath. I'm getting all dizzy and lightheaded, but I don't have time to stop for water. I don't have time to put my hands on my head, catch some breath or anything of that nature. Why? Because I want these number one mints. I am focused. I am locked in. So I'm coming now. I run up the steps and I'm coming in and I said, all right, I see my laptop, everything. I open it up. Guess what? It's like the only time in my entire life I did not have it on sleep. I completely turned it off the night before. So now I have to wait for a 4-year-old laptop to boot up. And clock is ticking. And I'm just like, man, this is like the end of the world. I'm 2 minutes past the deadline now. This is not good. So anywho, my laptop finally opens up and I start minting. And I didn't even get to enjoy and savor the process because normally I like to mint and see the animations, hear the sounds. It's kind of like when you open pack of cards back in the day. As I said, start off as a Pokemon card collector and what have you. I would open them up. I like to smell them, hear the sound of everything, but I couldn't do that. I could not do that in this particular case. I was just banging them out, just click, open, ripping packs and so forth, and then crafting. And it was just a complete chaos. I was just doing everything so quick, not savoring the moment or anything of that nature. But at the end of the day, I was getting some pretty cool things. I got a few number one mints when I was opening some of the packs, some of the traits and what have you. But then I started to craft them. And when I was crafting them, I wasn't getting any number one mints with the crafts. However, came up with a strategy that later on, I ended up getting one of the most rare ones, one of the Marios, Super Stash Brothers, if you will. I ended up getting a number one mint of that, but that was the trading and swapping and wheeling and dealing and what have you. But within a few minutes, I looked at the clock and I said, okay, I'm done crafting all I can possibly craft right now. I got to get back to work. So again, half dead, out of breath, hearts racing because of adrenaline and excitement and everything. Now I have to go back to my mundane job. I have to go cut across traffic again. And guess what happens? So the third time. So if the first taxi didn't kill me, heart attack of running and losing my breath, running up 3 flights of steps didn't kill me. Well, on the way back, I can't remember if it was a bus or a truck or whatever it was, that same intersection, I almost get hit again. It was crazy. I can't believe I did that. And looking back at it now, it's like I risked my life for NFTs. But here's the bright side. And the thing that I love about it most is I get a story to tell out of it. So that was some very good times. It was a different era back then. We were crazy. But hopefully you enjoyed that story and just hearing exactly how excited I was to get those NFTs. And again, at this time, I wasn't even necessarily thinking of the monetary value of it. I just wanted to collect them. I was so invested in the brand, the story that was being told, and the novel idea of having NFTs that you could send in and swap and redeem for actions for a live streamer. I thought that was just absolutely amazing. But the reason why I decided to share this in an episode standalone is because I've told the story in various places, but I've never really put together all of the different aspects as to what was going on here, why I was so excited, and why I was so invested into this particular IP of a relatively unknown brand and creator compared to, say, Mario, Dragon Ball Z, Pokemon, or baseball cards, or whatever it might be. But I was so invested into it that I was willing to go through these lengths and extremes, and it just really shows the power of fandom, collectability, and the excitement of a super fan. That is really the key to everything, whether it is your customers in a small business or you're actually telling a story and building out IP, getting people to actually care about what you're doing so that they'll inconvenience themselves, they'll go out of the way to support you, is really the dream of any creator or business owner. But hopefully you found this interesting. And again, I will be leaving in the show notes the video version for this. This is over on Hive, absolutely free. Don't worry, it's not behind a paywall or anything. You don't need a wallet. It's literally like a decentralized YouTube or a decentralized blog. And all of these different platforms just beautifully, seamlessly work together. And even if you are a small creator, you can actually build up a passionate fan base over there if you put in enough time. And that's what I think is so interesting about this particular story in general and why I'm going to share over on Hive. It's because people that are passionate about what you're doing are very valuable. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this as we're learning and building Web3 together. So until next time, later. The Nifty Business Arrow is not investment advice. It provides insights and information within the space. As with anything, please do your own research before making a decision whether you're making an investment or a purchase.